The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting group. Access Fort Wayne is a department of the Allen County Public Library. If you or anyone you know might be interested in making a television show, please call 260-421-1250.
Hi, welcome to the show. Dr. Rudy Kachmann. This half-hour segment I generally have on preventing, stopping, reversing diabetes. Very important because it's got 30, 40 diseases attached to it, and it would be nice not to have them. To top it all off, the reason this is even more important now is that the virus, coronavirus, that's going around and is still going around, incidentally, and they're going to have a resurgence, I think, is fall. The virus is a sugar eater, so it's much more likely to cause the illness or kill people who are diabetic. That's never brought up by Republicans, Democrats, or even Dr. Fauci. I never heard them say it. Bill Gates' books, which I've read, and we really thank the guy for all that he's doing and has done and will do in the future. He never brings it up either. So I'm glad to bring it up in this talk, and I'll speak a little bit more about it too. And the reason I've become so passionate, because type 2 diabetes will cause 30, 40 illnesses, which can be stopped, prevented, and reversed in a short period of time. Not years, we're talking about weeks, okay? So let's discuss type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes. You hear the difference. Type 1 diabetes is where the pancreas dies, and that is where insulin is made, okay? There's another hormone there called glucagon, which is the opposite, okay? Insulin will drop the blood sugar, and glucagon will raise the blood sugar. They're both made there, and it makes some other enzymes too, but these are the most important ones. There are people, more young people than older, but anybody can get it, where the pancreas suddenly dies. They make no insulin whatsoever, and they need to take it as a shot. So when insulin was invented in the 1920s or so, it's saving people's lives. Before that time, people would just waste away, and they would essentially all die. But now, but there are other reasons besides idiopathic, no known cause, but a significant number of people are getting type 1 diabetes from being sensitive to gluten. Gluten is a protein that will destroy the pancreas. It's an antibody reaction. And here's one you don't hear about very often. Milk. Yes, milk. Casein, the protein in milk, will attack the pancreas in a small percentage of people, kill the pancreas, and now you're a type 1 diabetic. So drinking milk has risks associated with the casein, the protein that's in it, can be dangerous. So type 1 diabetes, and occasionally it's a genetic thing, but most of the time it's autoimmunity. Gluten, milk will destroy the pancreas. But the most diabetics we're looking at today are type 2 diabetics, and generally they have insulin resistance. The insulin cannot stuff the sugar. The sugar is elevated into the cell, because the cell is surrounded by some fats and cannot just stuff the sugar in there. You have insulin resistance, and the insulin level increases. But if these people eat the right type of food, for example, good fats 70% of the time, 20% protein, and rest fruit and vegetables. Yeah, fruits and vegetables are not as healthy as that you think. So to avoid type 2 diabetes, to eat 70% good fats, you got to find out what good fats are. 20% protein. Your body only takes in a certain amount of protein. It recycles 80% of the protein that's being used every day. I played pickleball today. I'm sure some muscle cells broke down, and amino acids are formed, and the body will reassemble them and build the muscles back. Only 20% of protein you need to take in, essential protein. That's called essential because you got to take it in. But if you take more protein than your body needs, you know what the body does to it? Converts it to sugar. Oh yeah. So the bodybuilders who take all these pills and the cortisone and supplements, they're increasing their sugar levels, turning themselves into diabetics. They may be getting big because they're overweight from being too much fat, not muscles. Isn't that interesting? A very interesting book I'd like you to know something about, where some of the proof that I'm talking about was written by Joseph Kraft. I'd like to hold that up for you here. The Epidemic in You. You could read it 2 or 3 nights before you go to bed. A doctor could read it. A nurse could read it probably in one night. It is this absolutely the Bible of diabetes. Dr. Joseph Kraft was a nuclear pathologist, University of Illinois, published a number of papers, 1990s, 1980s, but this one was published 2006. But let me read to you what it says on the front page. And what he promotes, which I seriously promote, that don't just get a blood sugar, get a serum insulin. If you're type 1 diabetic, it would be very low, so to help your diagnosis. The serum insulin starts getting elevated in your blood 10 to 15 years before we diagnose type 2 diabetes with an elevated blood sugar. Yes. So instead of losing 100 pounds, you lose 5, no diabetes. Dr. Kraft would say we should test even kids starting at age 3, which pediatricians do not do because they never read the book. I took it to a big-time pediatrician in town here, and he frankly almost refused to read it. When I went back after a week and see if he read it, to review it with him. If you don't agree, I want to hear about it. He said, "Oh, you're the insulin guy. I lost the book." So I handed him another one. 2 weeks later, he never has called yet. And he was head of the State Pediatric Society. It's a serious matter. I don't get it. But what does he say in the cover? Diabetes epidemic and you. Should everyone be tested? Remember we spoke about that? Absolutely not. Only those concerned about their future. What's the future of a diabetic? Died 20 years before their time, on the average. And the previous 20 years, they're probably disabled. Mm-hmm. You maybe lost your hearing, maybe you're blind, dental disease. You have died of a heart attack, liver disease. 80% of renal disease is from diabetes. Amputations, dislocations, skin diseases, dementia. 60-70% of Alzheimer's disease is not kind of a genetic disease. It's from diabetes. It's related to insulin metabolism. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Most memory loss is seen in diabetics, preventable. And what Dr. Kraft did, pathologist, he's autopsy. So he looked at the bottom line, looked at the brain cells, he looked at the heart cells, he looked at the kidney cells, he looked at the skin cells. He studied them. And then he studied about 1,200 patients too. Okay? And he would run on them also PET scans where you inject some sugar and it would light up the scans, and he could then determine what diseases that you might be having. And what he is saying is that everyone should be tested even at a young age. Get a serum insulin. It still is not generally done in the community. You know what I think? You know what? Because there's many books, and Mark Hyman's books, I'm not the only one saying it, it's in many books, is that the hospitals, the medical profession, are making a lot of money, and they don't want you to get rid of your diabetes. I'm just saying it. I truly believe that, because these hospitals would be half empty, more than half. Kidney disease, heart disease, dementia, strokes, the rate would be way down. That's the reason I want you to act on that. Real easy to read. Just like one of my previous shows I really did here is the virus and pandemics. But the virus is a sugar feeder. You're more likely to catch it and die from it if you're diabetic. 90% of the people who died from the virus, the coronavirus 19, were diabetics. Mm-hmm. Yet no one brings it up. You don't have diabetes, odds of getting infected and dying from the virus goes way down. Yes, I think that's sort of important. And you will not hear it from the hospital, because I went to the hospitals, all three in town here, and asked them to review this book and maybe start teaching people how to get rid of diabetes. And I'd be glad to do it for nothing. But there seemed to be one excuse, another. I even went to the head diabetic doctor at the biggest hospital in town, and he never called back. They never started a clinic. Instead, they have a heart on their hospitals. Why is the heart there? Because they wanted to treat heart disease. They have a division that treats cancer. Most cancer is a sugar feeder. Breast cancer, colon cancer are found in people who have diabetes, overweight. Not every case, but majority of the time. I even wrote a book, Breast Cancer Prevention. It's the cure. Prevent it 80% of the time. They send all the money that they have from their breast cancer functions to Indianapolis for gene research. It takes 20, 30 genes. You're going to take 20, 30 drugs to try to cure your breast cancer. When by eating properly, exercising a little bit, and getting rid of diabetes would do the trick, and avoid getting other cancers, and having diabetes and vascular disease and hearing trouble and seeing trouble and gum trouble and heart trouble, and most kidney disease is due to diabetes. Yes, 80% of kidney disease caused by diabetes. The first 3 stages of kidney disease, the stages, 5 stages, GFR is a test that determines it, are silent. So if you get some tests done and you don't order a GFR, you don't know if you're on the path to kidney disease. Stage 4 or 5 usually leads to dialysis and a kidney transplant, and a couple of years you may not be around. All that can be avoided, prevented, stopped, and a lot of reversed. I coach a number of people who've had their kidney disease stopped. I've had some reverse it, and some with pretty advanced kidney disease. But if you go to a dialysis center or a transplant center, I doubt they'll even bring it up that you could do something about it. At least we ought to have a try at it. I'm not saying in a stage 4 or 5 it will work, but I've never seen scientific studies that say that it might not help. I know I've coached about 3 people with real advanced kidney disease. They seem to have stabilized. Some even reversed their GFR, glomerular filtration rate. Yet we look at the community, we see certain ethnic groups, certain racial groups, where 80–90% of the people have diabetes. It's because I don't blame them. They probably don't know. They're eating the wrong food, but no one ever pointed out eating this type of food will result in these illnesses. Many of them do not know because I've spoken to them. So we need to spread the word. I've spoken at their churches. You can see my stuff on YouTube, Facebook, and see my other longer talks I have on that, and read some of these books. Another book, and I don't want you to just listen to me. I want you to listen to other people too. This is a great one, Dr. Jason Fung, F-U-N-G, The Diabetes Code. To me, that's unbelievably good book. He was, listen to this, he was a renal doctor, kidney doctor from Canada. And the patients he was seeing, they're all diabetics. Then he decided one day, I might as well become a diabetic doctor. That's exactly what he did. Now there's a man, you can see him on YouTube, Jason Fung, F-E-N-G, YouTube. Every week is a new one. You'll gain tremendous knowledge. To make it easy, what he's into, which is what I teach patients. I even saw somebody today while I was playing pickleball. Somebody walked by and stopped me for a minute and said they had watched some of my videos. He feels, and what's the name of this book? The Diabetes Code: Prevent Reverse Type 2 Diabetes Naturally. No pills, no injections, naturally, which means eating differently, no starvation. But he likes the method of fasting. I'm not talking about days or weeks or months, none of that. It's been in history, it's in the Bible, we agree with it. But what I like is fasting 16-8. 16 hours you don't eat, 8 hours you can eat. And it's what actually makes it really easy, because you don't have to change everything that you eat. Maybe your sum is to eat 2 meals a day. This person I talked to playing pickleball today, he was walked by me and thanked me for watching my videos on ketones. And we were playing at 9:30 in the morning, and she said, "I'm not hungry." I said, "Exactly right." At about 4 o'clock in the morning, we're starting, at least I wake up around 5, but maybe a little sunshine, maybe just a little bit of light somewhere around there. Don't even need that, but your body realizes the day is coming and will start secreting steroids, which elevates your blood sugar slightly to keep it normal. Growth hormone will be secreted from your pituitary hypothalamic area, also raising the blood sugar. And the glucagon, the opposite of insulin, gets secreted, keeps your blood sugar even. That's why you're not hungry. It's not dipping down. So then I eat around 10, 11, or 12, and I eat a healthy diet of good proteins, guacamole, olives, ghee butter, for example. I can use that, or goat cheese, good fats, a little bit of protein, could even be chicken or whatever, bacon. And then I eat again at 6 or 7. I'd like you to eat 2 healthy meals, but honestly, if you just ate 1 healthy meal and the other one just ate what you want to, I think you'd lose weight, your diabetes would go away. I've seen it happen to patients. So that's a good way. 16, I call it Rudy 16-8. I wrote book, and you see it here because there's so much diabetes around and no one's doing anything, government doesn't say anything, your doctor just gives you a pill or a shot, that I've declared war on diabetes. And my bullets are information. Information. Those are my bullets. I'm giving you information, so I want you to gather more. So to read Jason Fung's book, you would just love it. And Kraft's book, and suppose you're want some more recipes, don't know what to eat. There's another book I recommend very highly, and that is Susan Ryan's book. She lost 120 pounds, 150 pounds, I think. And in her book, the first 30 pages, she explains what the keto way is, the type of foods, the good fats and the good proteins, the good vegetables. She's describing all that too, and she has a food pyramid. I have one also, which I described in Rudy's War on Diabetes. I have a chapter on there. Keto in 16:8 is a chapter on that on my pyramid too, which is almost like hers, a little bit different. And her words are very inspirational, especially if you get a weight problem. That's a great book, but you don't need to have a weight problem. Her, you like some explanation, what it's all about. She is in there pictures of recipes, and they're so delicious that I use this regularly. And there's soups and breakfasts and lunches and even desserts. She mentions the number of calories involved, the protein, the carbohydrates. It's an excellent book about type of food, pictures of it. Suppose you don't have to be overweight, remember I said, but suppose you are. You get rid of your diabetes, I'd say in a month or two. You have wonderful recipes. It's not about starvation. It's about eating the right food. Taking a walk every day. You don't have to run a marathon, but a little exercise would be helpful, like walking a little bit and a little bit of happiness. Sing a song. I take a walk in the morning and I'm singing to the birds. I'm whistling to the birds like I did yesterday, and they tweet back at me. And a little relaxation. A little bit of a walk. I play pickleball, but you don't have to do that. And you can get rid of diabetes. I don't want you to accept diabetes. Get tested, get tested, get tested. Get your kids tested, starting at age 3. Kraft has it right in his book, starting at age 3. Yes. And because pediatricians will start testing kids around age 10 or so. They're on the path, many of them on the path to diabetes. The biggest gain in obesity is age 2 to 6. Yes, yes. So look at your kids and get them weight, see if they're of average weight, and talk to your doctor about it. Odds are your doctor will know none of this. I'm not criticizing. Medical school don't teach it. I've been to medical school, even in town here, with all these books. I said, would you read them and then invite me for a lecture or call me back? I told the dean, and they'd tell me why you don't agree with it. The usual excuse is, we only teach what national teaches. But let me tell you something. The government, national public health, probably does not really care a lot. They may not even have the knowledge. Most of the time I find it's lack of knowledge here. Most of them do not know that the virus is a sugar feeder. I rarely meet anybody in the medical profession who knows that. And because the virus feeds on the sugar in your cells, and if you get rid of it, you're much less likely to become infected with the virus. I think this is extremely significant. Why is this occurring? I do not know, but like I said, when you get all 3 hospital systems not doing any of this, when it's in the literature, when it's in the books, it's not just me, but I am making them accountable. I go talk to them. A patient is much more likely to listen than a hospital or medical system, because I went to the head diabetic education at one of the big hospital systems in town, and he knew a lot. But I noticed at the meeting he brought around another lady, not related to what he's doing, and the reason for my visit, she was raising money for another foundation. They had the guts to do that, I do not know. I know another person that recently had a heart surgery done, beautifully done, saved her life, and she was diabetic. That's what caused the disease, and she's a little bit confused what to do. That the hospital system still is not checking her serum insulin, not checking out blood sugar every visit. Should be checked every visit. So if they are reluctant, if they're not changing, if they're not doing, that they could bring it up. Hey, you still weigh a bit more than you should. You still got your diabetes. So to treat them for the disease diabetes caused by you also should be treating them to get rid of diabetes. That's what I'm all about. I'm for stopping, preventing, reversing diabetes. But to motivate you, I encourage you particularly to maybe read a little bit about Joseph Kraft. Incidentally, you can also see him on YouTube. He's talking with an obesity doctor, Dr. Cummings, and he's 92 years old. He's died since, but he's saying, I'll be looking down upon you, and you still probably will not have changed. And he's talking about the medical profession, not necessarily the patient. The patients can be motivated a lot easier, in my experience, than the providers, the hospital system. Providers, I think, just don't know better. They haven't been taught right. But the hospital system, I think, it's about the money. It's about the money. It's what I'm going to say it. And if they don't agree with what I say, well, let them invite me, and I'll show them the books, and even see some of their patients for free, and prove it to them. Patients are willing to change, but they do not have the knowledge. So in summary, we can stop 2 epidemics, pandemics, whatever you call them, of viral infections and diabetes with the same method. What a wonderful opportunity. And you can wonder, so I've not only declared war on diabetes, I've declared war on the virus, because the virus feeds on the sugar from diabetes. Thanks for listening to me. I don't apologize for my passion, because I'm trying to save your life. I'm trying to keep you from being disabled. I want you to live to be 100 so you can play pickleball with me. I love you, care about you. See you next time. Bye-bye.